when my daughter's husband slammed his fist on my own bakery counter and shouted, "This is my business now, old man. Either step aside or we'll have you declared incompetent." I knew the sweet little girl who used to help me frost cupcakes had vanished completely. What they didn't know was that I'd been documenting every stolen dollar, every forged signature, every lie for the past 6 months. Before we continue, please subscribe to Whispered Vengeance and write in the comments what time it is where you are right now. I arrived at Morrison's Bakery at 5:30 that Tuesday morning, same as I had for the past 12 years. The pre-dawn darkness still blanketed downtown Portland, but inside, the ovens were already warming, and the scent of rising dough filled the air. I'd built this place from nothing after retiring from teaching, poured my late wife Catherine's life insurance money and my entire pension into it. Every brick, every oven, every recipe was ours. The spare key didn't work. I stood at the back door, key extended, confused. I'd used this lock 1,000 times. I tried again. Nothing. The deadbolt had been changed. I walked around to the front entrance, pulled out my phone, checked the time. 5:42. Jessica wouldn't arrive until 7, Brandon even later. But through the window, I saw lights already on in the office. Someone was here. I knocked, waited, knocked again, louder. Finally, the office door opened, and Brandon appeared, coffee mug in hand, wearing one of the Morrison's Bakery polo shirts I'd never authorized. He saw me through the glass, hesitated, then slowly walked to unlock the door. "Henry, not Dad. Not even Mr. Morrison, just Henry. You're here early. I'm here at my regular time. Why was the back lock changed?" He sipped his coffee, taking his time answering. "Security upgrade. Jessica has your new key at home. She'll bring it later." "Security upgrade? Without telling me?" "We're making lots of changes, Henry. Lots of improvements. Come on in. We need to talk anyway." The way he said it, casual but controlled, made my stomach tighten. I followed him through my own bakery, past the prep stations I'd designed, the mixers I'd researched and purchased, the display cases I'd carefully selected. Everything looked the same but felt different, like coming home to find furniture rearranged by strangers. In the office, paperwork covered my desk. Financial statements, vendor contracts, employment forms. Brandon sat in my chair, gestured to the plastic folding chair against the wall. The chair for vendors, for outsiders. I remained standing. "What's going on, Brandon?" "Jessica and I have been discussing the future of Morrison's. You're 67, Henry. You've had a good run, but it's time to face reality. The business needs younger leadership, fresh ideas. You're getting forgetful, making mistakes. Last week, you completely forgot about that special order for the Rodriguez wedding." "I didn't forget. Jessica said she'd handle it because I had that dental appointment." "See? That's exactly what I mean. Confusion. Mixing things up." He leaned back in my chair, fingers steepled. "We think it's best if you step back, take a break. Enjoy your retirement. Let us handle the day-to-day operations. This is my business, Brandon. I built it. I'm not stepping back from anything." Technically, he pulled a folder from the stack, opened it. "Jessica owns 49%. You made her co-owner 3 years ago, remember? After Catherine passed. You were grief-stricken, not thinking clearly. You wanted family to be part of the legacy. I had done that. After my wife died, Jessica had been there every day, helping me through the fog of grief. She'd suggested becoming partners, said it would give her more investment in the business, more reason to help it grow. I'd agreed, seeing it as securing her future. 49%, Brandon. I still own 51, majority shareholder, final say on all decisions." He smiled. "For now, but we've been talking to a lawyer. There are provisions for when an owner becomes mentally incapable of making sound business decisions. The forgetfulness, the confusion, the resistance to necessary changes. It all adds up. We could petition for conservatorship. Have you declared legally incompetent to manage your own affairs?" My hands clenched into fists. "You're threatening to have me declared incompetent?" "Not threatening, Henry. Planning. For everyone's good. Yours included. You'd be taken care of. Comfortable. We'd handle everything. You could move into that nice assisted living facility on Hawthorne. They have activities, social events. You'd love it. The office door opened. Jessica walked in, carrying 2 coffees from the chain place down the street, not from our own bakery. She saw me, and her expression flickered. Guilt? Annoyance? It vanished too quickly to identify. Dad, you're here early. I work here, Jessica. I own this business. We were just discussing that. Brandon took one of the coffees from her. I was explaining the new arrangement. Jessica set her coffee down, wouldn't meet my eyes. Dad, this isn't personal. It's business. You're amazing at baking, at recipes, at the creative stuff. But the management side, the finances, the employee issues, you're struggling. We just want to help. By changing the locks? By sitting in my chair? By threatening conservatorship? Nobody's threatening anything. Her voice took on the patient tone people use with children or the elderly. We're protecting the business. Protecting you. Last month, you wrote a check to the flour supplier for $3,200 when the invoice was only $3,200. That's a $12,000 mistake, Dad. I remembered that check. Remembered Jessica offering to handle the bills that week because I had a cold. Remembered signing what she put in front of me, trusting her. If I made a mistake, you should have told me, not used it as ammunition. We did tell you. You got defensive. You always get defensive when we point out problems. She finally looked at me directly. Dad, I love you, but I also love this business. Catherine loved it too. She'd want it to survive, to thrive. Right now, with you making these kinds of errors, it's at risk. Brandon stood, came around the desk. Here's what we're proposing. You take a 6-month sabbatical, paid, of course. We'll run things, prove we can handle it. When you come back, if you come back, we'll reassess your role. Maybe you focus on recipe development, special projects, the things you're actually good at. This is my business. It's our business, Dad. Jessica's voice hardened slightly. 49% mine, and I've been working here 3 years. I know every aspect of operations. The employees respect me. The vendors know me. You show up, bake some bread, chat with customers, then leave by noon. I'm here, open to close. 6 days a week. That was true. I had been coming in less, leaving earlier, but I was 67. I'd earned the right to ease back, and I'd trusted Jessica to handle things. If you feel you're doing all the work, we can discuss compensation, a raise, profit sharing. We don't want a raise. Brandon's voice turned cold. We want what's fair, what we've earned. This business is worth $350,000 minimum. Jessica's 49% means she deserves $170,000 in equity. But she can't access that while you're controlling everything. We have plans, Henry. Plans that require capital. We're proposing you buy out her share, give her the $170,000 she's entitled to, or transfer majority ownership to her and step back. I looked at my daughter. Is this really what you want? To push me out? I want what's fair, Dad. I want what I've earned. You've earned a salary, which I've paid. Generous salary, plus bonuses, plus flexible schedule, plus autonomy to make decisions. But no ownership. No real power. You still treat me like I'm 12, decorating cookies at your permission. I made you co-owner. 49%. Minority partner. Token position. She picked up her coffee, took a long drink. We're not asking anymore, Dad. We're telling you. 6-month sabbatical starting now. We run the business. You stay away. Let us prove ourselves. Or we pursue legal remedies. Conservatorship. Mental competency hearings. Depositions from employees about your forgetfulness. Medical experts testifying about cognitive decline in elderly business owners. I'm 67, not 90. Alzheimer's can start in your 60s. Brandon said it casually, like commenting on weather. Early onset, progressive. It would explain a lot. The room felt smaller suddenly, suffocating. These people, my daughter and her husband, were actively planning to destroy me, to paint me as incompetent, confused, declining, and they do it using my own business, my own employees, my own resources. I turned toward the door. Dad, where are you going? Home. To think. We need an answer. Today. Agree to the sabbatical, or we file paperwork Monday. I kept walking. Through the kitchen, where my morning baker, Thomas, had arrived and was prepping the first batch of sourdough. Past the front counter, where Sarah was setting up the register. Out into the parking lot where dawn was finally breaking over Portland's east side. In my car, I sat motionless for several minutes. My phone rang. Jessica. I declined the call. It rang again. Declined. Text message. Dad, don't be stubborn. This is happening whether you agree or not. Make it easy on everyone. I drove home to my small house in Selwood, the one Catherine and I had bought 40 years ago, raised Jessica in, grew old in together. Inside, I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, looked at my hands, still steady, still strong, not the hands of someone incompetent. On the refrigerator, held by a magnet, was a photo from Jessica's 8th birthday. Catherine had made the cake, 6 layers, rainbow-colored, and Jessica's face was pure joy. Where had that child gone? When had she become this person willing to gaslight her own father for money? I spent that day doing what I'd done for 30 years as a teacher. Research. I opened my laptop, started searching. Business law, partnership disputes, conservatorship requirements, mental competency standards. By evening, I had filled a legal pad with notes. Conservatorship wasn't automatic. It required proof of incapacity, medical evaluation, court hearing. They couldn't just declare me incompetent because they wanted control, but they could make my life difficult, very difficult. File motions, subpoena records, depose employees, drag me through legal proceedings designed to be expensive and exhausting. Unless I had evidence, unless I could prove their real motivation wasn't concern for my welfare but greed and control. I thought about that check Jessica mentioned, $12,000 instead of $3,200. I'd signed checks that week, yes, but had I actually written the amounts? Or had Jessica filled them out, placed them in front of me, and I'd signed without checking carefully? I retrieved my checkbook from the office drawer, carried it to the kitchen table, flipped back through recent months. The handwriting on the check amounts varied. Some clearly mine, the careful print I'd used for decades. Others looser, more casual. Jessica's handwriting. I compared them to the deposit slips, the vendor invoices I'd kept copies of. Discrepancies started appearing. A payment to the dairy supplier for $4,500 when the invoice showed $4,500. An equipment maintenance charge of $2,800 versus $2,800. Small amounts, easy to miss. But they added up. Over 6 months, I counted nearly $18,000 in errors, all in Jessica's handwriting. All on checks I'd signed without reviewing carefully because I trusted my daughter. The next morning, I didn't go to the bakery. Instead, I drove to downtown Portland, parked near the courthouse, walked 2 blocks to the office of Marcus Webb, the attorney who'd handled Catherine's estate. His receptionist remembered me. Mr. Morrison, how lovely to see you. Let me check if Marcus has time. He had time. 10 minutes later, I sat across from him, explaining everything. The changed locks, the conservatorship threat, the suspicious checks. Marcus listened carefully, taking notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. Henry, first thing you need to know, you're not crazy, and they can't just declare you incompetent. Oregon law requires clear medical evidence of cognitive impairment. But second thing, they can make the process miserable and expensive. The better approach is gathering evidence of their misconduct. The checks, good start. We'll need bank statements showing the discrepancies, copies of original invoices, documentation proving the amounts were altered. Do you have access to business accounts online? Yes. Jessica set it up but gave me the login. Check if she's changed the password. Do it now. I pulled out my phone, navigated to the bank website, entered my credentials. It worked. The account dashboard appeared. Still have access. Download everything. 6 months minimum. All transactions. I'll have my paralegal review them for patterns. He handed me a card. This is a forensic accountant I work with. Send him the files too. If Jessica's been embezzling, he'll find it. You think she's stealing? Henry, she's threatening to have you declared incompetent to gain control of a business worth over 300,000. That's not love. That's greed. And if she's willing to go that far, she's probably already started helping herself to the profits. I spent the rest of that day downloading records, bank statements, QuickBooks files, vendor invoices, credit card statements, everything I could access. I created a folder on my laptop, organized by month, category, document type. The work was methodical, calming. I'd spent 30 years grading papers, organizing lesson plans. This was familiar territory. By evening, I'd uploaded everything to the forensic accountant. His confirmation email arrived within an hour. Received, will review and report within 3 days. Jessica called that night. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was brief, annoyed. Dad, you're being childish. We need to talk. Call me back. I didn't. The forensic accountant's report arrived 2 days later. I read it standing at my kitchen counter, coffee growing cold beside me. The summary was devastating. Evidence of systematic embezzlement over 18-month period. Total approximately $63,000 diverted through inflated vendor payments, fictitious expense reimbursements, and unauthorized payroll bonuses. Additional concerns regarding inventory shrinkage and unrecorded cash sales, suggesting possible revenue diversion. $63,000. My daughter had stolen $63,000 from our family business. The report included details. Jessica had been writing checks to vendors for amounts higher than invoiced, then having the vendors refund the difference in cash. She'd created fake employees, issued them paychecks, deposited the money in accounts she controlled. She'd been running weekend special events that generated cash sales, never entered into the books, all while telling me I was too confused, too forgetful, too incompetent to manage the business. Marcus called an hour after I received the report. You saw it? I saw it. Henry, you have grounds for criminal charges, embezzlement, fraud, forgery, but that's your daughter. I need to ask, do you want to pursue criminal prosecution or civil recovery? I looked at the photo on my refrigerator. 8-year-old Jessica, rainbow cake, pure joy, civil recovery. I want my money back. I want her out of my business, but I don't want her in jail. Understood. I'll draft a demand letter. We'll give her 72 hours to return the funds and resign all positions, or we file civil suit and report to authorities. That's generous, Henry. More generous than she deserves. She's still my daughter. She's a thief who was planning to have you institutionalized. Remember that. The demand letter was delivered Friday morning by process server. Marcus called me afterward with the update. She wasn't at the bakery. Server went to her home address. Brandon answered the door, signed for it. According to the server, he went pale when he read the front page. My phone exploded with calls. Jessica, Brandon, Jessica again, Brandon again. I didn't answer. Then a text from Jessica. Dad, we need to talk. This is a misunderstanding. Call me, please. I didn't call. I did, however, drive to the bakery. Saturday morning, our busiest day. I parked across the street, watched through the window. Jessica was at the counter, serving customers. Brandon was in the back, visible through the kitchen door. They looked stressed, kept checking their phones. Inside my car, I waited. At noon, lunch rush ended. I saw Jessica pull Brandon into the office. Through the window, even from a distance, I could see the argument, her gesturing wildly, him pacing. This went on for 20 minutes. Then they emerged, both looking shaken. Jessica approached Thomas, my morning baker, spoke to him briefly. He looked confused, nodded. She spoke to Sarah at the register. Same confused nod. They were leaving. Middle of Saturday, our second busiest day. I waited until their car pulled out of the parking lot, then walked across the street. The bell chimed as I entered. Sarah looked up from the register, surprised. Mr. Morrison, I didn't know you were coming in today. I own the place, Sarah. I can come in whenever I want. I kept my voice gentle. She wasn't the enemy. Where did Jessica and Brandon go? Emergency, she said. Family thing. Asked me and Thomas to close up. She hesitated. Is everything okay? She seemed really upset. Everything's fine. Just some family business to sort out. Don't worry about closing. I'll handle it. I spent that afternoon in my bakery, doing what I loved. Helped Thomas with the final batch of sourdough. Chatted with customers. Made a little girl's day by giving her a free cookie shaped like a unicorn. Around 4, during a quiet moment, I approached Sarah. Can I ask you something? Has Jessica ever asked you to do anything that seemed odd? With money, or records, or reporting? She looked uncomfortable. Mr. Morrison, I don't want to cause trouble. You won't. I just need to understand what's been happening while I've been less involved. She glanced toward the office, lowered her voice. Sometimes Jessica has me take cash payments for custom orders, but not ring them up. She says it's for special VIP customers. Cash-only deals that need discretion. I always felt weird about it, but she's the manager. How often? Maybe twice a month? Usually weekend mornings when you're not here. Thank you for being honest. You're not in trouble. Neither is Thomas. You were following your manager's instructions. Are we going to be okay? The bakery, I mean. There's been rumors that Jessica and Brandon might be buying you out, that things are changing. The only change is that Jessica and Brandon won't be working here anymore. Everything else stays the same. You, Thomas, everyone else, your jobs are secure. More than secure. Relief flooded her face. Thank goodness. I love working here. Monday morning, Marcus called. They want to meet. Brandon's lawyer contacted me. They're willing to discuss settlement. What are they offering? To return the $63,000 over time, monthly payments. Jessica resigns as co-owner, but stays on as paid manager. Brandon leaves entirely. Absolutely not. Full repayment within 30 days. Jessica sells her 49% back to me at fair market value, which given her theft is substantially reduced. Both of them resign all positions immediately, or we file both civil suit and criminal charges. That's harsh, Henry. They threatened to have me declared mentally incompetent, to take everything I built. They stole from me while planning to institutionalize me. I'm being merciful by not pressing criminal charges. I'll convey your terms. That afternoon, a different call came. Not Jessica, not Brandon, but a number I didn't recognize. I answered cautiously. Mr. Morrison? This is Margaret Brennan. I write for Portland Monthly's food section. I'm also a business consultant for small food service operations. Jessica Morrison contacted me last month about potentially profiling Morrison's Bakery for our local success stories feature. Last month? She never mentioned it. That's actually why I'm calling. I visited the bakery Saturday morning for research, and something seemed off. The employees seemed stressed. Jessica and her husband left abruptly. When I reached out this morning to schedule a follow-up, Jessica said the profile was canceled, that there were family complications, and Morrisons wouldn't be participating. I see. Mr. Morrison, I've been writing about Portland food businesses for 8 years. I've seen lots of family operations struggle with succession issues. If you ever want to talk, off the record, about what's really happening, I'm a good listener. And if you need help navigating business transitions, that's my consulting specialty. Something about her voice, calm and professional but genuinely concerned, made me pause. Miss Brennan, can I buy you a coffee? Not for an interview, just to talk. We met at a cafe in the Pearl District. Margaret was in her early 50s, with silver hair cut short and intelligent green eyes behind stylish glasses. She ordered black coffee, pulled out a leather notebook, then set it aside without opening it. Okay, no notebook, just conversation. Tell me what's happening. I did. Not everything, but the broad strokes, the changed locks, the competency threats, the discovery of embezzlement. As I talked, she listened without interrupting, her expression growing increasingly concerned. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Mr. Morrison, I've seen versions of this before. Adult children who convince themselves they're entitled to parents' businesses, that they've earned ownership through work that was actually just paid employment. It's a particular kind of greed wrapped in justification. She's my daughter. I keep thinking about the child she was, That child grew into an adult who made choices. Bad choices. You're not responsible for fixing her, Henry. Can I call you Henry? Yes. And may I call you Margaret? Please. Here's what I think. From a business perspective, Morrison's has strong fundamentals, good location, loyal customer base, quality products. The problem isn't the business, it's the management. Specifically, Jessica's mismanagement. If you remove her, install competent leadership, Morrison's could actually grow significantly. I'm 67. I don't have energy to expand. You don't need to. You need to find the right manager. Someone skilled, trustworthy, who can handle operations while you focus on what you love. The recipes, the creativity, the customer relationships. Do you know someone? She smiled. I might. Let me make some calls. We talked for 2 hours. About business, about Portland's food scene, about her own journey from food critic to consultant. She'd been married once, divorced 10 years ago, built her consulting practice from nothing. She understood betrayal, understood rebuilding. As we stood to leave, she touched my arm lightly. Henry, you're going to be fine. Better than fine. This is painful now, but you're strong enough to handle it. And you deserve people around you who value you for who you are, not what they can take. Those words stayed with me through the rest of that difficult week. Jessica's lawyer came back with a counteroffer. $63,000 repayment over 12 months. Jessica keeps her 49%, but takes a leave of absence. Brandon exits entirely. Not acceptable, I told Marcus. They've stolen from me, threatened me. I want them completely out. 30 days to full repayment and sale of Jessica's shares, or we proceed with legal action. Henry, pushing this hard means burning bridges permanently. The bridges are already burned. They burned them when Jessica chose money over her father. That evening, my phone rang. Not Jessica this time. Her daughter, my granddaughter Emma, 11 years old. Grandpa? Mom's crying. She won't tell me why, but she said something about losing the bakery. Are we going to be okay? My heart broke. Emma was innocent in all this. Sweetheart, you're going to be fine. Your mom made some mistakes with the bakery. Mistakes she has to fix. But you're loved, and you're going to be just fine. Did you and Mom have a fight? Sometimes adults disagree about important things. It doesn't mean we don't love each other. It means we have to make hard choices. Mom says you're being mean, that you don't understand how hard she's worked. I closed my eyes. Jessica was already poisoning Emma against me. Your mom has worked hard, but she also did some things that weren't right, things that broke my trust. I hope someday she'll understand that, and we can rebuild. But right now, I need to protect myself and the business. I miss you, Grandpa. I miss coming to the bakery after school. I miss you too, sweetheart. You're always welcome at the bakery. Anytime. That hasn't changed. After we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. This was costing me more than money. It was costing me my granddaughter's innocence, her understanding of family. But the alternative was letting Jessica continue stealing, continue lying, eventually destroy everything Catherine and I had built. The deadline arrived. Jessica and Brandon's lawyer called Marcus at 9 Monday morning. They agreed to terms. Full repayment within 30 days. Jessica sells her 49% for $90,000, substantially under fair value but reflecting her breach of fiduciary duty. Both resign immediately. All business access revoked. They're also requesting one provision, Marcus said. No criminal prosecution. They want immunity in exchange for settlement. Agreed. I never wanted jail time. I wanted my business back. The paperwork was signed Wednesday afternoon. I wasn't present. Marcus handled it. When he called afterward, his voice carried satisfaction. It's done. Morrison's Bakery is 100% yours again. Jessica and Brandon are out. The $90,000 from the share buyback, plus the $63,000 repayment totals, $153. They're liquidating assets to raise it. What about Emma? No restrictions on your relationship with your granddaughter. That was smart to insist on. She's innocent. She deserves her grandfather. That evening, I went to the bakery. My bakery. Completely mine now. I walked through the empty space after closing. touching the mixers, the ovens, the counters. 30 years ago, Catherine had stood in this space when it was just an empty storefront and said, "This is it, Henry. This is where we build something beautiful." We had. And now I had to rebuild it alone. Margaret called the next morning. "I found someone. Daniela Rodriguez, 28, culinary degree, from Le Cordon Bleu, 5 years management experience at a successful cafe in Seattle. She's relocating to Portland for family reasons, looking for the right opportunity. I sent her Morrison's information. She's interested. Can I meet her? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the bakery. I'll come too, if that's okay. Provide a neutral third-party perspective." Daniela was impressive, professional, knowledgeable, asking smart questions about operations, suppliers, margins. She walked through the bakery like someone evaluating potential, not just a job. "Mr. Morrison, I see what Margaret sees. Strong foundation, room for growth. Your sourdough is exceptional. The pastries are good but could be elevated. The retail space is underutilized. With the right systems, Morrison's could double revenue within 18 months. I'm not looking to work 80 hours a week. You shouldn't have to. That's what managers are for. You focus on recipes and quality. I handle operations, staff, growth. We split responsibilities clearly. We negotiated terms. Fair salary, performance bonuses, profit sharing after 2 years if targets hit." She started the following Monday. Over the next 3 months, Morrison's transformed. Daniela implemented new systems, updated the menu, expanded retail offerings. Revenue increased. Customer satisfaction increased. My stress decreased. And Margaret became a regular presence. She stopped by for coffee, to check on Daniela's integration, to offer business advice. But increasingly, those visits lasted longer, covered topics beyond business. One Saturday afternoon, after closing, Margaret and I sat at one of the cafe tables, reviewing Daniela's quarterly report. "She's exceeded every target," Margaret said, highlighting numbers. "Morrison's is on track for a record year, thanks to you. You found her. You've guided this whole process. I just connected resources. You did the hard part. Stood up for yourself. Took back what was yours." I set down the report, looked at her directly. "Can I ask you something personal?" "Of course. Why have you invested so much time in helping me? You're a consultant. This has gone way beyond professional scope." She was quiet for a moment. "Honestly, because I see myself in your story. 10 years ago, my husband tried to force me out of my own business. Our business, technically, he'd convinced himself he was the talent. I was just support. When I refused to accept a buyout, he got vicious. Spread rumors I was unstable. Tried to turn our employees against me. I fought back. Won, but it cost me everything. My marriage, most of my friends, years of peace. I'm sorry. Don't be. I rebuilt. Stronger, wiser, more careful about who I trust. When Jessica contacted me about the profile, something felt off. Then when I saw what was really happening, I couldn't walk away. You deserved better. So did you." She smiled. "We both did. But we survived. We're thriving. That's worth celebrating. Would you have dinner with me? Not business. Just two people who've survived betrayal and came out stronger. I'd like that very much." We started seeing each other regularly. Dinner, walks along the waterfront, visits to Powell's bookstore, where we'd spend hours browsing. She understood my grief for the daughter I'd lost. Didn't try to fix it, just listened. 4 months after the settlement, I received a letter, handwritten, from Jessica. I almost threw it away unread, but curiosity won. "Dad, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what Brandon and I did was wrong. I've been in therapy, learning about how I let greed and entitlement poison me, how I convinced myself I deserved what you'd built, without recognizing that it was never mine to take. I miss you. Emma misses you. I understand if you need more time, maybe forever, but I wanted you to know I see what I did. I see the damage. I'm sorry, Jessica." I showed the letter to Margaret over dinner that evening. She read it carefully, handed it back. "What do you feel?" "Sad. For what's lost. Maybe a little hopeful that she's genuinely changing, but mostly protective of myself. I can't go back to trusting blindly. Then don't. Set boundaries. If you choose to have contact with Emma, do it on your terms. If Jessica is truly sorry, she'll respect that. If she's not, she'll push and manipulate. Her response will tell you everything. I wrote back a careful letter. Said I appreciated her apology. Said I needed significant time before considering rebuilding trust. Said Emma was always welcome at the bakery. Supervised visits only. Posted it and tried to let go of expectations. 6 months after the settlement, Morrison's was thriving. Daniela had become indispensable. Revenue had increased 40%. We'd hired 2 more bakers, expanded the seating area, launched a successful catering division, and Margaret had moved from friend to partner. We made it official one evening, sitting on my back porch, watching the sunset paint the sky over the Willamette River. Henry Morrison, at 67. Are you asking me to be your girlfriend? She was teasing, but her eyes were serious. I'm asking if you'd consider building something with me. Not business, life. I'm old enough to know good fortune when I find it. And you, Margaret, you're remarkably good fortune. She leaned over, kissed me softly. I'd consider that very seriously. In fact, I'd say yes. A year after the settlement, Emma started visiting the bakery again. Saturday mornings, I'd teach her to decorate cookies, same as I'd taught Jessica 30 years ago. Jessica would drop her off, wave from the car, never come in. Respectful of boundaries. Progress was slow, tentative. Maybe someday Jessica and I would rebuild something. Maybe not. Either way, I'd survived. More than survived. I stood in Morrison's one Saturday morning, watching Emma carefully pipe frosting onto sugar cookies. Margaret sat at a corner table, working on her laptop. Daniela was in the kitchen, training a new baker. Customers filled every table, the scent of fresh bread and coffee filling the air. This was what Catherine had dreamed of. Something beautiful, built from nothing. For years, I'd thought I was protecting it by including Jessica, by trying to ensure family legacy. But I'd learned the hard way that legacy isn't about blood, it's about values. Integrity. Respect. My daughter had chosen greed, had been willing to destroy me for money. That was her choice, her burden to carry. I'd chosen differently. Chose to fight for my dignity, protect what I'd built, surround myself with people who valued me as a person, not a resource. Looking around Morrison's that morning, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because it was honest, real, built on foundation of respect rather than obligation. Emma looked up from her cookies, smiled. Grandpa, look, I made a rainbow one like in the photo on your fridge. I looked. She had. Perfect layers of color, careful decoration, joy in her eyes. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Just beautiful. Margaret caught my eye, smiled. Daniela emerged from the kitchen, gave me a thumbs up. The Saturday morning rush continued around us, but for that moment, everything felt exactly right. I'd spent 30 years teaching kids about consequences, responsibility, doing the right thing even when it's hard. Then I'd spent 12 years building a business with my wife, pouring everything into creating something meaningful. When challenged, when betrayed, when threatened with losing it all, I'd applied those same lessons to my own life. Stand up for yourself. Document everything. Set clear boundaries. Protect your dignity. Don't accept being diminished by people who claim to love you while treating you with contempt. And the remarkable thing? When you do those things, when you refuse to be a victim, when you fight for what's right, even against family, you don't just survive, you thrive. Morrison's Bakery is more successful now than ever. I work 20 hours a week, focusing on what I love. Daniela runs operations brilliantly. Margaret and I travel, explore, build a life together. Emma gets to see what healthy boundaries look like, what self-respect means. Jessica lost her chance at easy money, learned that actions have consequences. Maybe someday she'll truly change, truly earn forgiveness. Maybe not. That's her journey now. Mine is here, in this bakery that smells like my wife's dreams, surrounded by people who choose to be here, who respect what we're building together. I'm 68 now. I sleep through the night. I don't question my judgment. I don't second-guess my decisions. I stood up for myself. I won. And the life I have now, built on honesty and mutual respect, is better than anything I lost. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it tastes sweeter than any pastry I've ever baked.